Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. That's right. Your ears and your eyes they do not deceive you. We are back. It's just me, just little old me, and Andy over here, obviously, who does things. Say hi. Nope, they can't hear you, you fucking idiot. So, I think we should just have a quick... I'm thinking we should probably just have a quick look and see when the last... I tell you what, 6th of July, 2020, Adam Burke. And, look, what has happened between then and now? What has happened? The world is a crazy place. I will say that. In the midst of all everything that's happened in that period, I managed to obtain a divorce. I will say, as a as a self-identifying male in this cataclysmic shit heap of a country we call Australia at the moment, the legal system and the social system do not in any way, shape or form support men. It is crazy. I'm sure there are plenty of you out there who have been through exactly this situation and no doubt fared far, far worse. The asset settlement happened. For those that aren't aware, you normally come to an agreement on what's your net position. So between all of your assets and all of your liabilities, what is your current net position, whether that be positive or negative? So my ex, normally the split, say if they take the kids, which generally happens, there's a whole chaotic bullshit situation there, let's not get into it, but the wife is likely to hold on to the kids, and not normally because they want to. Normally it's because they're wanting a more significant cut of the asset pool. And I think that's pretty fucking terrible. I adore my kids. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it at the moment, but long story there as well. Won't get into it. The situation is that normally it's about a 70-30 split. So 70% will normally go to that front bum piece of shit that you're hoping to never see again for the rest of your life. It's 50-50 if there aren't kids normally, but yeah, let's go 60, 70, 80% will go to them. And then, of course, because you've done the right thing and worked your ass off throughout your life, your earning capacity is more than theirs. Therefore, your ability to recover is higher. In my situation, that my efforts to keep my family provided for really counted against me. And ironically, my real career, being a programmer, a cloud engineer, has effectively disappeared. Thank you, AI. ChatGTP, as Tyson Nicholson, the piece of shit real estate agent, would otherwise refer to it. I hope he dies in a house fire. So, it's been a really fucking shitty period of time. However, as I did previously, when I'm feeling the lowest of lows that I possibly can feel, then I reach for this microphone, this lens over here. I have a whole bunch of new amazing camera gear that I did buy years ago and never actually brought to the fore, so that I can chat to you guys. And instead of paying for therapy, I can make money off therapizing my sadness by talking to a camera. So thank you very much. So, without any further ado, let's continue. So as I said, it is just me. I may pop some guests in every now and then, but the reality is that I feel like relying on other people is a bit of a cheat's way to go through life. So let's kick off the conversation here with who I think should be considered Australian of the Year. Now, I'm going to record this because I know what I'm doing. I have no idea.
What does the future looks like regarding electrification and battery electric vehicles in your mining operations then?
So just so we've got some understanding of what this is, you can find the video on the socials, but this is a guy named Jerry Noonan. Now the context here is Jerry Noonan is an old school mining magnate. He started a company called Geotech. He's very, very well versed. He happened to fall into the industry at a very, very good time, as a lot of boomers also did, right? A lot of boomers get blamed for holding onto their money, onto their wealth. A lot of people are shitting on them, and maybe rightly so. But the reality is that if you're a boomer, all you had to do was some semblance of stay the course with your life, and then you would end up in a position where you have some money. I know examples of this, whereby they didn't really have to try very hard. They could chop and change in many, many capacities, but as long as they continued just showing up, doing something at some point, they would eventually land with some net worth. Now, of course, they're now living longer than the generation prior to them. R.I.P. Nana and Poppy. So it's not their fault. Then the gains that they have aren't really gains that they've worked hard for. They haven't been particularly diligent in making sure that they were squirreling away cash. They've kind of just gotten on the superannuation path at the right time, which means that they've been able to withdraw quite a significant amount, pretty much tax-free. I think it's about 15% on the way in, but whatever. I'm sure that the government will come for superannuation, as they're already trying to, because the government needs your money. They need your money. This government can't continue to grow and implement this authoritarian regime if they don't have sufficient funding. So what you should be doing is maybe paying more tax. Donate a little bit more tax into the system so that the government can do its job effectively, because the only reason they've been failing is through lack of funding. That's it. They needed to be able to do what they do more. You understand? They needed to be able to do what they did more. It's not a fault of their approach. It's nothing to do with that. Anyway, so Jerry Noonan, as I said, a guy who kind of fell into a bucket of dicks and came out sucking on a pair of titties, but he's tried and true. He's done the hard yards. Now here he is being interviewed by a woman. I think that's what they refer to them as, out on a job site.
What does the future looks like regarding electrification and
Obviously, English is her first language.
Battery electric vehicles in your mining operations then?
Well, we have coal because we've got the biggest coal deposits in the world.
That is true. We do have the biggest coal deposits in the world.
But we're not allowed to burn the fucking stuff, so the world's rooted, really. It's all right to be idealistic, but you also have to be realistic. And until the lights go out, the idiots that want to be green on everything and not do mining, not do coal, not do anything, they're going to have to go back and use candles and live in tents, and then they'll No, you might fucking laugh, but it's true. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm not talking bullshit, I'm talking reality.
No.
If we don't get realistic, we're fucked. It's as simple as that. We're not allowed to use uranium. We've got the biggest uranium deposits in the world in Australia. We're not allowed to mine the fucking stuff. So it's all fucked. So when half these cunts die, well, the world will be a better place, and then those of us that survive will get it going again.
Well, you just... That's an no.
My next door neighbour, I was talking to him, he's a lawyer, so he's not an idiot. Well, he is a fuckwit, but that's another problem. But he said, oh, that's right, you just put plugs along the highways. I said, but if you haven't got a fucking source from a power station, plugs on the highways aren't going to do jack shit, right? Do you understand me? The people don't understand. They think the electricity comes out of fucking space. But if you haven't got a charging system, which is a steam coal burning power station, how the fuck can you charge your batteries? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand.
Well, there's a lot of the cunts don't, and that's the problem with the world.
Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the visit.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll enjoy it eventually.
And
Thank-
what does
Jerry. What an absolute fucking legend. Now, you can hold any opinion you want on whatever the fuck it is that he said, but holy fucking shit. Just a sensational human being. Just, wow. I would hate for him to really tell us what he thinks. Just phenomenal. Now, he touches on quite a few good points there. As we start to electrify motor vehicles, obviously we are going to require more electricity. Now, those big fans they install out in the middle of paddocks, they're fine. They're absolutely fine. Continue putting those in. They are an eyesore, and they kill some birds, but I'll be honest, they're not fast moving. And if you're a bird that's dumb enough to fly into one of these things, you kind of deserve to die. They deserve it. Let them die. Let the birds die. Let them die. Of course, there are some studies that are pointing to resonant frequency that is kind of making people a little bit insane. But I would argue that our society is already headed down the path of insanity. Maybe we've already jumped off the precipice and we're falling straight down. Whoa, as I think it was Eskimo Joe sung. So, Jerry, just making some really salient points and decorating it with some colourful grammar, which we all do very, very much appreciate, I'm certain. So, Jerry Noonan, I would say Aussie of the Year. Now, who is it that does the Australian of the Year? I'm assuming it's the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, Anthony Slimy Albanese. Now, I hear he's Italian, so I'm assuming that's what that accent is. I don't know. My family are Italian. They don't sound like that, but they're from the south. I'm assuming maybe he's more from the north. This guy has just fucking fumbled the ball terribly. I'm astounded. Liberal Labor, I don't give a shit. They're all fucking retarded as far as I'm concerned. The government will continue to get bigger. If we don't, what can we do at this point? I don't think we can do a single goddamn thing. The government is continuing to grow. They are continuing to have some sort of say over what it is that you do with your daily life. And I mean constantly. I've got a friend at the moment who's being audited by the tax office. I'm sure his return is likely to end up being something ridiculous like $2,500. He's claimed some stuff that he probably shouldn't have claimed, but also they make it pretty fucking ambiguous and vague, the tax office, don't they? Here are the things that you're allowed to claim without any documentation whatsoever. Well then, fuck me, I'ma claim them. Now he's gotten a bit creative, shall we say. Also, he is Italian, so I don't know if you know, but accounting was actually invented by the Italians, the double entry method. The single entry, I think that was by the Greeks, but it's not through the traditional means. So the situation being that the tax office is now coming down on Vinny asexually in an attempt to fuck him sexually. It's not a it's not a fun situation for him. He's not running a multinational company whereby he's shifting profits offshore. There aren't, 15 different trusts that the money's being filtered through and ending up in various beneficiaries who happen to be companies that manage trusts, etc. It's not a complex thing. I was subjected to this myself a couple of years ago when I was claiming some legal fees for exiting the piece of shit company I was working for at the time. They're an Australian broadband provider, but I'm not going to go into who they are. The situation there was that I'd spent basically $30,000 in legal fees to be able to get an exit payment of $27,500. So you can see that my net position there, $30,000 minus $27,500, would leave me with a deficit of $2,500. Just fucking mental. The only people who win through legal battles are, of course, the slimy lawyers. Now, if you happen to be a lawyer, you're a necessary evil, but nonetheless, you are still fucking evil. I think your entire industry, your profession, everything and every single judicial entity that interacts with you is all just fucking mental. It's craziness. So anyway, the point being, Vinny's now being pushed by the ATO. Now I told Vinny, whatever, just have the review, go through the audit. He's worried, of course, that they're going to see that he's made a little bit of cash money working on cars. They don't give a fuck. All they're trying to do is just put the fear of God into you. They are using all of this new AI technology, from these large language models. It's mental. They've been looking, this came off the back of all the big data era. And now they're just running all these AI bots over the top of everything and saying, hey, Claude, tell us who we should audit. Now, of course, Claude, being the agreeable, bumbling, fucking robot fool that he happens to be, just goes along and indiscriminately starts going, hey, this falls outside of the expected criteria by approximately 3.5%. Let's destroy this guy's life. That's not a likely outcome. Let's be clear. The ATO are some of the most incompetent people, 20,000 people strong now, by the way, 20,000 fucking blood-sucking pieces of shit working for the ATO. Now, if you happen to work for the ATO, you bet your ass that the second your EL1 manager is able to replace you with a widget on their desktop, they will absolutely do it. You are not helping our country. You are not fighting the good fight. You are a bloodsucker who is contributing to the problem that already exists here. Now, I suggest that we go back to a cash economy. Why can't we go back to a cash economy? The government does not want it. We've got CBDC, central banking digitalized currency, which is, of course, coming off the back of the open source idea being cryptocurrency. We can have a conversation about cryptocurrency another time, but the whole idea is the geeky programmers like myself out there come up with a good idea, such as AI, right? They come up with a good idea, and then the banks, the big financial institutions, the big tech, they co-opt this technology, they monetize it. Oftentimes they close source it. There's the whole conversation there with OpenAI and whatnot. Elon Musk stepping away from that. That's, again, don't want to get caught in the weeds here. But the government has seen cryptocurrency. Oh my fucking God, what a great idea. The point being, right now, as it stands in Australia, if the ATO if the government wants to go through your bank account, they have to firstly go and speak to a judge and say, we have reason X, Y, and Z to have a look at this person's financial affairs. They then have to take that document and subpoena the bank. The bank will then provide the documents within the date range that's specified by the subpoena. This is not generally like an open-ended thing where the authorities can just go and say, hey, just give us all of the information on this person. They normally have to target a very specific period. There's a Section 100C thing, if I remember correctly. Again, not my field. But where it's a serious evasion thing, and they will go back indefinitely. I think they normally sort of stop around 30 years, but they'll look through entities going back effectively indefinitely for the purposes of course, just stealing as much money from you as they can. So, with that in mind, the cryptocurrency is the basis for the CBDC, which is the government wanting to be able to see your bank records all the time. For those that aren't aware, cryptocurrency, you can find somebody's wallet ID and then look it up. Now that forms part of the blockchain. The blockchain is basically a visible transaction summary that is available, or it's not even a summary, it's a full statement. It shows every single dollar or Bitcoin or percentage thereof going in and or out of this particular wallet. The entire idea behind the blockchain is that it's completely transparent. So all the ATO/government has to do is find your wallet, which they will give you. They'll give you a wallet ID because they're so generous. They're generous. They are the most generous entity in the world. Look at all the NDIS workers. They would 100% agree that the government is very, very generous. I have a disabled son and a disabled auntie. And I 100% think that they should be going on 10-day cruises because that's a normal thing to do, right? They should have a babysitter with them. Anyway, back to the original point. The CBDC. So what will happen with this, of course, is that the government will be able to see every dollar going in and out of your personal bank account and then just raise concerns immediately. Now, this, of course, all hinges on the digital ID, which they're attempting now to pipeline through by cutting miners off. Not miners from Western Australia, although they really should spend less time on social media. I'm not talking the FIFO kind, we're talking the Epstein kind of miner. Now, they have basically brought that in such that it's going to force people to present a digital ID online. They've already done that with company owners a few years ago. So people like myself are already in the system without even having necessarily realized that it's a fucking bullshit situation. It's authoritarian and it's mental. It's absolutely mental. I don't know why the government wants more and more control. They don't know what's good for you. They don't know what's good for me. I mean, I don't know what's good for me. But dear God, please let me figure it out on my own. So yes, authoritarian, the government, more money, more fucking money. Oh, goodness. What a time to be alive. Of course, the other situation is that with more and more people's entire life being online these days, the government really doesn't have to work particularly hard to see exactly what's happening in your life. God forbid somebody start an OnlyFans and be making $8 a month. By the way, I was just thinking about this. In terms of tax deductions, I don't want this to be a tax-heavy episode. It's been far too long to come back and start off with some discussions around debits and credits. But what I will say is, in the sex trade, I do remember being told by my dear old mother that condoms are indeed a legitimate tax deduction for prostitutes. So that begs the question, what are legitimate tax deductions for OnlyFans models, or as they like to call themselves, creators? The only thing they're creating is disappointment in their fathers, but I have heard of some stories. I have heard of some where the father is quite proud of her and even will help film and edit and produce the material. I don't think he's starring in it. I don't think, but I don't know. That is a fun thing to occasionally Google on Pornhub occasionally, though, isn't it? Just fun. You know it's fake. There are a couple, though. There are a couple. where you know it's real. And the twins. Don't get me started on the twins. So, yes. Anyway, back to the original point there being, who fucking knows? I don't know. I haven't spoken on a microphone for too damn long. I have, however, shot a lot of video. I got motivated to start shooting some video. Got myself some really good gear a few years ago, and I was helping a local news presenter named, we won't talk about her name, but on the Central Coast. And I did my darndest. I donated a lot of time, a lot of my specialty skills, a lot of my funds, and then, spent many, many, many hours editing and figuring out different ideas around. Look, ultimately these days, news is just fucking content. It's just another fucking TikTok. It's just another Instagram reel, right? If you don't get clicks, you're not going to get any engagement. That's just the nature of the beast. So you might as well call news social media content these days. Look at the bullshit situation that 7, 9 and 10, ABC, SBS, and those news organizations that work for those stations, they ended up pushing Google to promote their content on YouTube because they said it was unfair. Can you fucking believe that? Can you fucking believe that these large organizations, let's say our normal network TV stations, 7, 9 and 10, that they're going to Google and they're saying, hey, well, let's call it Alphabet. Alphabet owns Google, owns YouTube, yeah? So they're going to Alphabet, to YouTube, to Google, and saying, it's unfair that you are not promoting our content, and instead you've got things like Whistling Diesel just setting fire to a Ferrari in the middle of a paddock. Set fire to your fucking station in the middle of a paddock and people might watch it. People might fucking watch it. These network stations are so fucking far removed from any idea of reality that it's laughable. Look at Karl Stefanovic, or as I think he's being dubbed, the Australian Joe Bogan, LOL. Most recently hanging out with Piers Morgan over in his multi-million-dollar yacht. Dear God, Piers. Boo! Got some of that cash, you know what I'm saying, boy? So, Carlos goes and has a chinwag with Tommy Slobinson over in the old United Kingdom, the motherland, the convict factory, the colonizers, Little Pakistan as it's now known, goes over and has a chinwag with Slommy Tobinson. I didn't get to see the video, put it up within 24 hours. This is off the Karl Stefanovic show, yeah? Which is his new podcast. He did one of the good morning things in Australia, morning breakfast TV, whatever. Did that for 21 years. Likeable guy. Some of the more entertaining moments were when he was drunk on air. My fave. I think they'd won an Emmy or something. Then he had to, I think the Emmys are traditionally on a Sunday, and he's had to show up to work Monday morning. Now, that guy, they have to get into the office at 3 a.m. 3:30. That's maybe it's 4 a.m. they arrive, but it's an ungodly hour to be awake. Unless you're doing blow, which he no doubt has done a significant amount of in his life, and I think by his own admission. But him on air, still 3 sheets to the wind, as the Australian public are tuning in, just eating their Fruit Loops at the breakfast counter. seeing this guy, Slobodan Milosevic, sideways on the fucking idiot box. My God, what a time to be alive. Karl, God bless Karl Stefanovic and all who sail on her. He is an Australian legend. I would put him, I will say, at this stage, Jerry Noonan, number 1. Succulent Chinese meal, number 2, and then 3rd, Karl Stefanovic. I reserve the right to be wrong. I will adjust this list accordingly. But speaking of network TV, I don't know about you guys, but I remember Pauline Hanson as being an exceptionally racist person. Yeah? There was this whole movement, as it turns out it was a movement in the 90s that was designed to completely slander her. And it's only now that I look back and see it as such. It was only once I started to sort of see how aggressively the media was going after old DJT, Donald J. Trump. I think what you want of Trump. I don't give a shit one way or the other. But the treatment of him in the media and people's complete and utter inability to have a conversation around who he is, what he represents, and what their real problems are was the thing that made me start to reframe my thoughts on old Pauline. Not the big Aboriginal chick from Australian Idol, the redhead who owns a fish shop. I didn't realise it at the time. Wonder Years reference. I didn't realise it at the time, but we were being subjected to, as a society, just this absolutely volatile destruction of a character, right? This was a character assassination, and I'm saddened that none of us were intelligent enough to see it at the time. However, what I will say is we very much only had one conduit for all of our news and information to come through. And maybe, just maybe, that was a better time to be alive. There was no point thinking or questioning. It was just what the news told us is what we thought. I see society now where we have so many options available to us. We can go and travel down some sort of bizarre rabbit hole when it comes to flat earth or Pizzagate. Pick your poison. It doesn't matter. And these levels of obsession that people go to, and then this psychosis that people build themselves into to reinforce something that is out and out just fucking mental. You can do that. But the problem is it tends to lead the rest of the people who end up being your followers into a similar psychosis, and therefore not necessarily a productive and contributing member of society. Now, I don't know what the right answer is here. I don't know. But what I will say is, given the level of retardation, I'm assuming that a lot of our politicians are also receiving NDIS funding at this stage. But given the level of absolute fucking retardation that exists in our political movements, in our political parties, in even just in our local fucking councils, in our state government, the level of special needs workshop that these people must somehow receive certification to actually be in that club. Count the chromosomes. 47. Ding, ding, ding. You win. You get to run the country. Oh, gee, shucks. Gee, shucks. Oh, loves me so much. Me, my word is my bond. You get to run the country. Hey? who is it that gets to say? I'm curious about the guy that gets to install that guy, but the government, the level of retardation that is happening at the highest levels of our government it's abhorrent. It's absolutely fucking abhorrent. These are the people who get to determine how much funding goes to the schools that your kids go to, how much tax you're required to pay, how often the lawns get mowed at the local park, whether the roads get repaired. I'm disgusted here with our local council. They got sacked a few years ago, and it's more or less the exact same people. I don't mean the same type of people, by the way. I don't mean the same type of people. It is the exact same people who got voted back in this time. The exact same people. The guy who is currently the mayor of the council is a guy who used to be the mayor of an old council. We had 2 councils amalgamate. He was the mayor previously. Now, guess who's going to get voted in for the next 2 years of this councillor sitting? For this 4-year election term, for this term that these councillors are in, they get to nominate a mayor themselves. You wouldn't believe it. Well, you may, but I'm guessing that it's the mayor of the other council who's going to now be the mayor of this council. It's just right there in our fucking faces. The level of corruption, it's the same shit every single fucking day of the week. They do it right in front of our faces, and then they smile, and we just say, thank you, sir, thank you, mistress, may I have another? It's mental. We're not going to do anything about it. I sure as fuck am not. I've had the cops called on me enough times over the last few years. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Fuck you all. But given the level of retardation that we're currently facing, and the fact that I think mostly people aren't in a particularly good state of mind, we should vote in One Nation. What's the worst that could happen? Something? The worst thing that could happen is something, as opposed to the nothing that they seem to have a PhD in at the moment. Let's fucking put them in. I realize it's an unlikely situation, and I don't necessarily know that that's the best thing for our country in the longer term. But at this stage, I don't fucking care. What hope does our country have? We've got a bunch of fucking lying, bullshit, corrupt politicians who are no doubt taking money from the old boys club, which, by the way there, I'm more than fucking happy for the real leaders of our country to be doing some shit that we wouldn't necessarily be okay with. We don't want full transparency. Let me tell you this, I don't want the leader of my country to have grown up in housing commission. I want him to have played on a hockey team with some multi-billionaire mining magnate who needs a favour done in some bizarre country in Africa, which, to be fair, won't be a country in 3 weeks anyway. It's not like they're particularly stable over there. Why not extract a bit of wealth? Grab some diamonds while you're over there. Some real diamonds. None of these synthetic bullshit kind, right? The blood diamonds, that's what you're after. T.I.E. Oh, this is Africa. Great movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, or whatever the black guy's name is fantastic in that movie. So, I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I would much rather, let's say Malcolm Turnbull. Again, not a fan of him as a human being, probably not a huge fan of his policies at the time. He did fuck up the NBN pretty badly. Whatever, we're all getting thicker porn pipes these days anyway. They've ended up doing the exact same thing they were going to do, which is giving everyone fibre. Not the kind that makes you constipated. But I don't want the leader of my fair nation to be a guy who subsisted on government handouts. I want him to have some skeletons in his closet. I want him to have a photo of himself wearing a dress and maybe sucking on a dildo. Right? I would not mind that stuff existing, and for him to have some secret handshakes with some 3-letter Latin alphabet crew, not the other alphabet crew, although whatever, fucking knock yourself out. I'm okay with the leader of our country doing some shit in some dark rooms, some weird fucking ritualistic behavior that we're not privy to get the fucking job done. That's why you're up there. You need to have those connections, those contacts. You need to be able to grease palms and get shit done such that we don't have to fucking push shit back down into getting other retards to fucking vote for it. Just get shit done and make our country fucking better. Right? Obviously, I'm just saying after this perhaps, because Albanese is a friend of the show. We get that. Anthony Albanese. Yes, just be that dodgy guy that gets shit done, right? Well, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. That's who I want running the country. Obama, right? Obama. Well, the Clintons. Ooh, let's not get into the Clintons. That's a whole situation there. But what is the worst that could happen if we get One Nation in? But if something happens, and you've got to say, in terms of staying power, sure, the hit pieces on Pauline, she's difficult to watch. Also, she just went over and had a chin wag, had a yarn, spun a yarn with Slowey Robertson. Think what you want of the guy. My opinion doesn't matter here. But I don't know that was necessary. I think Pauline was also on Stefanovic's show a few weeks ago. Everybody's just talking about, okay, we just want to have the conversation. I think that's a really, really good thing, because at least that way, Pauline, if she is a fucking retard, is given the opportunity to prove it. She's given the opportunity to prove that she's a retard, and the interviewer is given the opportunity to press her on the things that actually matter, to be able to go backwards and forwards instead of having these small sound bites that are isolated, doing your bullshit interviews on morning shows. It's a much more productive environment, I think, but whatever. This is the podcast era. This is I'm sick of it being called podcast too. By the way, why is there no such thing as a porncast? There should be a website called porncast.com, which is where your favourite front bums who just spread their private bits on the internet for cash money, where they're able to sit down and talk while sticking a carrot in their asshole. Make sure the audio gear is good. Make sure the video quality is good. I'm not saying I'd pay for it. I checked out OnlyFans a few years ago. Not a fan. The OnlyFans there. But you can just go and get that same shit free. And better. And the best part is, you can re-watch the other stuff. There's nothing more fun than going to your chosen pornographic website, which, by the way, now, you need to prove you're over 18 to view. Thanks, government. Now some fucking website overseas has got a photo of me where they go, we think you're over 18. Yeah, well, I've heard that before. Haven't we, Epstein? By the way, hilarious joke. I think it may have been, Ryan Long perhaps, who said, it's always, the saying is, you never ask a woman her age. Has anybody considered that maybe Jeffrey Epstein was just really, really polite? That's a banger. But anyway, so Pauline, she's going to have a chat with Slommy Tobinson. whatever. I think it's a fucking retarded move, which obviously means she should be running the country because everybody else who's sitting over there seems to be retarded as well. The point being, Pauline has copped a relentless barrage of criticism, defamation, been absolutely fucking tortured. She has been tortured since the 90s. Can you name me one other politician in Australia, just name one other politician in Australia who has anywhere near the staying power that Pauline Hanson has? I'm not saying she's necessarily the best to run our country, but she has stood by what she believes in, by hook or by crook. She has managed to maintain her seat. You could not name another politician who has copped such an onslaught of media abuse, of the concoction of lies and bullshit. No doubt she has dealt with so much deception from people working for her and around her. No doubt there were so many times when she'd be sitting down in good faith to have a conversation with an interviewer, a journalist, if you will, and being all that person's doing is conniving and attempting to railroad the conversation into a gotcha moment for Pauline. Guaranteed that has happened so many goddamn times to this woman. And yet, here we are. I would say, 30, I would say close to 30 years. I would say close to 30 years, Pauline Hanson has copped an onslaught of, you could argue, abuse, not just microaggressions. No, there was no, we don't want Ronald McDonald running the country, although maybe we do. Someone who runs a fish and chip shop, should they be running the country? I sure as fuck prefer that over somebody who grew up in Housing Commission. Albanese. You have to give her credit. She has stayed true and she has continued pushing forward. Perhaps, just perhaps, that is somebody that could potentially run the country. Anyway, I hope you all have an absolutely fucking sensational week. You're a bunch of good-looking roosters. My name's Josh. This is the Advice for Blokes podcast. Take it easy.